Get yourself a suit and tie and get your hair cut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
Your lawyer, David Whiting, is standing by to take your calls. Our number, 1300 222 774. We've got a fair bit of legal news to get through as well, but we want to help you out too. 1300 222 774. Grab a slot on the phone lines. And David Whiting, good morning.
Good morning, Virginia.
We'll help you out. We've been discussing quite a number of interesting legal news items during the break. If we do them all, we won't get to any calls.
Well, that's not the way the game is played.
No, and I've made an executive decision that the calls are more important than your fascinating news. However, yesterday, I think we noted this in passing, that the seal of the confessional, as it's known here in Victoria, no longer applies when it comes to confessions of child sexual abuse.
So laws requiring the clergy to report child sex abuse to authorities, even if heard in a confessional box, came into effect yesterday. And the religious and spiritual leaders come in line with teachers, police, medical practitioners, nurses, school counsellors, early childhood and youth justice workers. So,
but how's that going to work for a priest who deeply believes in the so-called seal of the confessional? And we've heard reports from Monsignor Comensoli about this over the years.
So he's an archbishop now.
Archbishop,
he's been
sorry.
promoted a couple of times.
Sorry, did I just demote him?
Yes,
Sorry.
absolutely.
I go back to the Monsignor days.
Okay.
It's before my time. And he's made comments about how, no, he would always
He
uphold
would
that
not
seal.
break the seal of the
So it
confessional.
relies solely on that priest leaving the confessional, going straight to a police box and reporting it.
Well, I suppose the answer is if the priest is there for 2 hours for confessions, and this is number one, I don't think there's an expectation that there are two types
No,
of
but
confessions.
they're doing it eventually and not...
There are two types of confessions.
I'm
There's
suggesting
the-
they might not do it eventually.
I think there's a fair chance that there will be any significant number who won't do it. And
Can they be compelled? I mean, the law compels them, but how do you actually
Well, the law
compel them?
requires them to, but the law, the law makes it an offence to drive above 60 kilometres an hour in a 60 zone, and it imposes a penalty if you are apprehended.
This is a criminal offence, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But then so is a speeding ticket. So, I mean, the significant degrees of... I think, I don't know, it needs a response from the church. What's happened is, in fact, all of the churches that have confession need to actually consider... I mean, there will be a whole lot... mind you, as I understand it, less and less people go and use the confessional box in any event. So it will be interesting. And there's several ways of undertaking confession in the Catholic Church. So, and some of them do not require you to say a word to anybody. So,
It's going to be really interesting to watch that one.
yeah, but I do think that the in a sense that we're simply saying where the state says to the church that behaviour is now not acceptable is a real positive. And on another note, a Frank Ormond, whose conviction over a gangland killing was quashed last July after he spent 12 years in jail, the Australian speculated last week that he's now engaged police misconduct lawyers and could receive a payout of more than $10 million from Victorian taxpayers.
$10 million.
We are locked up for 12 years. I mean, I think... locked up in a prison for 12 years is
fair
not...
point, yeah.
And I have no idea what the tariff is for being locked up, but I would have thought...
That's a good phrase. To
No,
use.
it's the phrase that gets used.
Tariff.
What's a particular crime worth? Well, a tariff is in the reach of...
And remember, we're paying, of course, for the Royal Commission.
We're
into Lurks.
clearly paying for the police, we're paying for the State of Victoria, and we're paying the Commission. So
There goes
maybe
all the
more.
money.
Yes.
Wow. Do you like television, David?
Don't watch as much as I used to, but yes, I do. Of course, it's the ABC, but particularly on a Wednesday.
Ever
night.
been on TV?
I lasted 3 minutes and 42 seconds on News Breakfast.
I
a
saw
week
that
and a
the
half
other day.
ago.
That was very funny.
Yeah.
Well, we think we'll bung you on TV. I think we should stream live on Facebook. Don't you? I want to take a poll on this. Text me 0437 774 774. Wouldn't you tune in and watch if we streamed live on our ABC Radio Melbourne Facebook page? David Whiting simply the best in the business at what he does. I can't tell you how many people, David, tell me how they are just riveted by this segment every single week, and they'd love to see you administer advice live.
Might have to get dressed a bit better. But
You're just fine.
The stories that I like are the ones where the husband comes in from the yard at 10:30 on a Tuesday morning and sits down and has a cup of tea, and then as soon as the half hour's over, packs up and goes out again. I think they're the ones which really make me feel good.
I don't know what those ones are, but
Okay.
they sound fabulous. Let's take your calls and get you some advice. 1300 222 774. Duran in Point Cook, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Virginia and David.
Thank you. That's all right.
Must have been waiting a long time. Yep.
Thank you. I have a question regarding a fair work now. So please, I need your advice. Now, my wife, she used to work for a company I can't name, unfortunately.
Good.
And then the same contract rolled over to the same company because they parted, and another company took over her company.
Yes.
So basically, she's been informed that she's not eligible to get her long service leave. That is, Victorian legislation allows people for 7 years.
Why has she been told? Why is there not continuity of work, Darren?
It is a continuity of work because her contract, original contract, apparently she's been informed is a federal contract, and federal contract overrides state contract, which we ask an explanation where has it's been mentioned, while in the contract itself it says all laws are applicable as state law wherever you're residing in Australia. So we are confused, and I'm not getting any information apparently from anywhere.
Darren, I shall go and look, and I'll make it homework for next week.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
All right, well, that's some homework, and we'll see if we can sort that out for you. I know David will. 1 week is a long time for David. He can usually do it in a couple of hours. Paul in Baldwin, hello.
Hi, Virginia. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Good. See, I'm a Uber driver, and last Saturday I got some passenger at midnight from some house, and they was overly drunk, and both of them, first they wanted to go same place, and then the passenger in the back seat, he said he want to go somewhere else, and it will take him 35 minutes to walk. Then I told him that the system is there where you can put your name in the app and I will take you there. But the guy who was sitting next to me, he said, you must take him there. And must turn here. He put the hand on my steering and grabbed me by neck. Then I simply had to turn there, and I told him I can't continue, and actually had to push him away to stop him interfering with my driving.
An assault on an Uber driver. Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
So he actually grabbed you around the neck.
Yeah, it's like not that I just tried to force me to turn right there on Dandenong Road toward Hornmoor.
Then what happened?
And then I asked him, I can't continue, and if you want to go, then you have to get out of my car. But then they simply went on the phone with Uber. They're saying, oh, this driver is assaulting us. And then said, I just terminated their ride.
Paul, that's the truly horrible process. What happens at that stage is Uber suspends you.
And just he suspend me.
Yes.
And actually, when I told them that you have to get off my car, and they would not go, then I have to raise my voice to tell them, I have terminated your ride, you have to get off. Okay, then finally they get off, and then they have grabbed my door and standing there, I keep telling them, please leave my door, I have to move. And then he got an opportunity, then he lifted the hand, and I left. So they could be damaging my car or anything. I just moved a bit further up and rang the Uber stairway.
Yes.
That what had happened. And they said, okay, we will follow it up. I think they also, I reported me that I have assaulted them or whatever they call it. And I've been in the last few days, I'm going on and on with the Uber. They're telling them what has happened, but they're not even listening to me. That they said our community safety guideline tell that the community safety is very important. And
I understand that. I think the problem that you've got, Paul, is that they need passengers more than they need drivers.
But,
so if suspending you doesn't doesn't mean they get less passengers for the period of suspension.
What about
the only person who suffers is you.
What about the assault, though, David? And Paul, would there be any internal security camera vision of this inside your car?
There's nothing like that in Uber, and that's why I actually was thinking like let it go, because this is a alcohol-fueled violence by some passenger. But when they will realize in the morning, they will understand what they was doing.
See, taxis have cameras, but Ubers don't.
Taxis have camera because I think Uber doesn't take any responsibility for driver safety.
No, I've been in some Ubers where there are cameras, but clearly that's been done by the driver themselves. I was just wondering if there was some footage. What do you want to happen now, Paul?
See, they said we have terminated the contract with you. And I went on with them saying what has happened, but they don't listen to me. They said the other side safety is important for us.
Paul, in practical terms, there is nothing you can do because you don't have an employment contract with Uber. Uber's argument is that all of their drivers or all of the drivers driving cars are independent contractors. And all they are is a booking service, and in return for a percentage of the fare, they provide you with a customer. Now, that's their argument, and they're now saying to you that they are not going to assign any tasks to you. Now, I have a friend who's also a driver of one of those kinds of vehicles, and somebody jumped on the bonnet of his car who he knows to have been a passenger who booked a ride. The rideshare company won't provide him with the details of the person who jumped on the bonnet.
And David, there's
that's what
no
I
way
wanted
that
to
Paul
actually
could get
do.
it?
I wanted to go to police now because they're escalating the issue. But now Uber doesn't give me the detail of that person.
No, but you can go to police and police will ask, but whether Uber will provide it or not, I don't know, because they make promises of privacy to the passengers.
And the lawyer won't help here to try and secure the information about that passenger?
Well, there is the possibility of it's a time value of money. There is the process in the court system where you can go to court to ask someone else to identify a person against whom you've got a claim. Right. But I don't know that in Paul's situation it's worth his time, effort and money.
Paul,
you could spend thousands of dollars and end up with...
Paul, we'll have to move on to the next call. We're sorry we can't help you this morning.
Actually, there should be something where I can go and actually put that...
I agree with you, but there isn't, Paul. Okay.
I'm very sorry, Paul. Are you still driving for another service or thinking of doing it again?
No, actually, I spent $23,000 on a car, and I have father of three primary school kids.
Yes.
And they said working for last 1.5 years, and around 5,000 passenger I drove from one end to another end. With one or two people said that thing and did to me, and actually they did to me, and then
Paul, that's the problem with the gig economy.
It really is, and we feel enormously sorry for you and great sympathy as well. Sorry we can't help with that. It's one of the glaring holes and so unfair for those so-called employees. Fiorenzo in Brunswick East, hi.
We live behind a share house rental property, and we've had ongoing noise issues with the tenants there. In December, they hosted an extremely loud live music event where our home and the whole neighbourhood was blasted with extremely loud music.
And you weren't invited, were you?
And I can't get help from the police, the council, or anyone. Is there anything that can be done? My mother has been sick since that day, and she's got music playing in her head. And we just can't seem to get any help from anyone.
Are we talking about theoretical answers or practical ones, Fiorenzo? There is the ability to you can take them to court for the noise that they made, because you can be assaulted by too much noise. You could apply for an injunction that they not make noise beyond a particular level in a particular time frame. There are EPA guidelines as to what ought to be acceptable levels of noise.
Yeah,
but in a share house, you've actually got to find your claim is against the people who are there.
Yep.
Right now, if it's owner occupied, it's fairly easy. If it's tenanted, it's not too bad. But in lots of share houses, people come and go.
Yeah, but the thing is that we can't find a solicitor who'll deal with this issue at all.
Well, I is that regardless of cost, Fiorenzo, or is cost a part of it as well?
It's not about the cost. When I've called several law firms, they just say they don't deal with these type of issues, and we try to go into the court to get an intervention order regarding the noise and harassment of the tenants, and they just said no, it's got to be physical assault.
Intervention order's a bit tricky,
Yep.
because at this stage, in order to get the intervention order, there has to be a apprehension of reoccurrence.
Yep.
Now, from what you've told me, it's happened once.
But they keep playing loud music almost.
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about an issue in January.
They do band practice. The thing is, we don't know where else to turn to. The council got rid of the local law, so they won't do anything. The police are always tied up, and they can't come because they've got to prioritise the calls, and noise complaints are low priority.
Low priority. Look, then I would just keep ringing Florenzo. There are lawyers who will do this. My difficulty is I'm not sure of your prospects of success because you need to be able to identify the people against whom you want the notice. Do you know who owns the property?
Yes.
Have you spoken to the owner? Has the owner given you the names of the tenants?
I've got the names of the tenants. The landlord seems just to be on their side, and he just makes excuses.
He just wants the rent to keep coming.
What happened was when the neighbourhood was blasted with the noise, we were forced to leave the house. We went to his father's house, and we went also last week because of the noise problems are continuing, and he's just not taking the serious.
So what's the best course of action here?
He needs to find a lawyer who will issue an intervention order application on the basis of the information provided. But if I was Fiorenzo, I would be trying to get some kind of noise measuring device, and I would be keeping a diary for a couple of weeks that shows the level of the noise and the times that it comes out, because that's the basis of your claim.
Do you know any lawyers who would deal with this?
I would ring the Law Institute. You want someone who does intervention orders, and they will give you 3 or 4 names and start there.
Okay, good luck with that. And don't forget to get your device to measure the sound. That's very good advice there, David. Andrew in Hoppers Crossing, good morning.
Good morning. Look, a small issue compared to the other two you've just been dealing with, but I'm interested in the area of enforcing a verbal contract. I've had a plasterer come around, give me a quote of just $360 to do a small amount of work. Promised he'd come the next week. He didn't turn up. Rang him, didn't turn up the following week, didn't turn up after that, and then texted me at 7 o'clock one morning to say, no, can't do the job.
Yep.
Is this, so one, there's a verbal contract. 2, I've got written on his business card that he'd do the work, and I have text messages about all of this as well.
Sorry, what are the words on the business card? I find it incredible that he would write on the business card, I will do the work.
No, sorry, yeah, correct. He just wrote $360 on that.
So he gave you a quote.
Yes, correct, and a verbal one as well, of course. I then texted him to say, I accept your quote to do this work, and
Andrew.
So I had that.
Andrew, with the exception of the dealing with interest in land, verbal contracts are enforceable.
Yes.
Now, my question would be, it's a $360 job, at least from that particular tradesperson.
Yep.
How much time and effort do you want to put into holding that person to the $360?
I have an overdeveloped sense of justice.
Okay. And do you have, say, the issue...
we need to establish whether that's helpful to you or not.
You could go to the magistrate's court, or you could go to VCAT.
Yeah,
and you could enforce the application. You could come along and say, we had an agreement that this job would be done at this time.
Yep.
But you would have to come along and a magistrate or a member at VCAT may come along and say, I'm not going to make him do the job, Andrew. The question is, tell me what your loss is.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantee. In fact, it's incredibly unlikely that a member or a magistrate would require the work to be done by that person. But if you'd suffered loss and damage because your next quote was $400, well, you've now got a claim of $40.
Andrew, you're not just thinking about calling somebody else and getting the job done?
Look, I have tried other people and they just haven't returned the call or whatever else. I picked this guy because his advertising says no job too small and that he is, quote, registered and certified.
What's the job?
Are you volunteering?
Just want to know. Andrew?
Yeah, it's actually damage to a wall where a fish tank was placed into the wall. It's basically almost a window frame.
Right, so it's some carpentry and plastering.
No carpentry. The frame is okay. It's just the plaster that was pushed out.
It's some plasterboard.
All right, so if there's a quote with a significant difference, then it's worth the while, do you think, David?
Yes, but it would need to be a significant difference.
Yeah. Good luck, Andrew.
Okay.
Thanks.
As I said, I'll go get it, but thanks very much. Appreciate your time.
Yes, an overdeveloped sense of justice. Is that a good idea or a bad idea there, David? Is it helpful in life?
In a community, no. On your own, absolutely. Yep.
Helen is calling from Central Victoria. Hi, Helen.
Oh, good morning. Thank you for taking the call. I'm just ringing regarding my rights with local council. I sustained a severe head injury after tripping on a split footpath. And
what caused the footpath to split?
I have no idea.
Well, Helen, that's critical to your case.
Okay.
The law talks about misfeasance and non-feasance.
Right.
Misfeasance is doing something badly.
Yes.
Non-feasance is not maintaining.
Okay.
Now, what the
How would I go about finding that out?
Well, in a sense, you'd need to look. So if you've got a concrete footpath with large squares and there's been a tree root on the nature strip which has caused the concrete to rise,
right,
then I say that is misfeasance. That's non-feasance.
Right.
And the Road Management Act won't make the council liable for it.
Right.
So the classic example is that the council comes along and digs a big hole in the footpath and doesn't protect it from passers-by.
Okay.
And you fall in or you stumble and you suffer the injuries you've got now. Not a problem. Misfeasance. Not doing the job properly.
Right.
On the other hand, footpaths, and the classic example is a running path where it's dirt and you pass by trees, and over a period of time the tree roots become more and more exposed.
Yep.
That's non-feasance. So if you want to succeed in your claim against the council, you need to prove they did wrong, not that wrong occurred over a period of time.
Right, okay. This was bitumen section, and so obviously it had been replaced, and it was quite bad actually. And it wasn't the only part.
Then Helen, you need to prove who did it, and you need to prove it was done badly.
Right.
So
that's almost impossible.
Well, it's not that impossible. When you dig up a footpath to put down a telephone or put in your new water pipe, you apply to the council for what's called a road opening permit.
Right.
And so you go to council and say who applied for and received road opening permits in that period. And it might be that if it occurred recently, the issue is misfeasance by whoever did the work.
Right, okay.
All right.
Yep.
Good luck.
Right, thank you.
Thanks for calling in this morning. I've got a text coming in here saying, I'd be happy to do the job. Hi, Virginia, I'd be happy to have a look. And I think that possibly applies.
I think that's Andrew from Hoppers Crossing.
To the plastering work. That's right, that we were talking about before. I'll write the number down and see if we can sort of
We're doing a job matching service.
We're doing a job matching service here. Look, it's what we do here for no extra charge. Let's see if we can get one quick extra call in just very quickly. Sharon in Alphington, you'll be last today. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
If you can make it quick.
Okay. My situation is that I had a red light camera issued in my company name. I'm a sole trader, but I run under that sort of structure. Yes. And it was the first time I'd had a fine in the company name. I received a fine for $3,100, but required to nominate myself as the driver. I tried to nominate myself as the driver to reduce the fee to $400 and something.
Yes.
I inadvertently left the date off next to my signature, so I had another go at it. I filled out the form again. I this time misinterpreted the top of the form and thought I should only put the company name, not my own name, filling out the form. And so I got it wrong a second time. And so then when I received a request to do it again, I thought I'd better go in. I went in as quickly as I could. It took me about 2.5 weeks. I thought I had about 4. Got there and got told that I could no longer do that, that it was at the final
So the issue is,
it's
what the law says at the moment, Sharon, is that if you get a fine against the company, has it been to court yet? Because if it's not been to court, your opportunity is to talk to the magistrate.
Well, my problem is that they're telling me that I can't take it to court, but it has gone into a category called notice of final demand, and you have no option other than to apply for an enforcement review, which I did. Took them 15 months to come back to me and say trying hard to nominate a driver is not an eligible defence for an enforcement review.
I think that's absolutely right. Sharon, I'll give an answer to everybody. I don't know that I can help you, but I'll give an answer to everybody for next week. All right?
Oh, good. So we'll take this one on notice. So stay tuned in, Sharon. Do listen to us next week and we'll try and get an answer for you. David, thanks so much. Go and get your TV makeup ready because, our unscientific survey here has found that people would love to see you streamed. They don't like Facebook. Unfortunately, that's where we're streaming, but they would like to see you.
Done.
How great would that be? David Whiting, your talkback lawyer.